You fear becoming someone new more than you fear failure, and that's why you never truly commit to your goals. People think they're afraid of failing, but their fear isn't really failure at all. They're afraid of success because success requires change. When you are too comfortable in your own misery, you could have $1 million waiting for you, but you're too scared to take the steps needed because you are scared to lose what's familiar to you. The moment you become disciplined, confident, or emotionally healthy, you have to let go of the version of yourself you've known for years. A lot of times you have to get out of your own head. And sometimes a better future can feel threatening because it's unfamiliar. That is what we would call self-sabotage. You ever notice how every time you decide to change, you're finally going to change your life, but something happens? You procrastinate, you make excuses, you stop showing up, and somehow you convince yourself that you'll start tomorrow. It looks like laziness from the outside, but most of the time it's not. Self-sabotage is oftentimes your mind trying to protect you from uncertainty. But because your brain values what's familiar more than what's possible, even if the current habits make you unhappy, they're predictable, and predictability feels safe. Real change requires stepping into the unknown, and that's uncomfortable. This is why making progress isn't just about discipline. It's about managing your emotions. If every uncomfortable feeling causes you to quit, then your emotions are controlling your future. And growth requires you to sit down with discomfort instead of running from it. It means that accepting that you'll feel awkward, frustrated, anxious, and even embarrassed while you're learning. And those emotions are not signs that you're failing. They're signs that you're changing to grow into something new. And you have to let parts of your old identity go. You can't expect your life to change while holding on to every habit and belief that created your current situation. Getting fried every day, smoking za, going to the club, these are examples of things that make us feel comfortable. But in order to grow, you need to sacrifice some vices and pleasures. And sometimes growth feels less like adding something new and more like shedding what no longer serves you. And this doesn't just happen with careers or goals. It happens with relationships too. People knowing and unknowingly self-sabotage healthy relationships because healthy love feels unfamiliar. If someone grows up with inconsistency, criticism, emotional neglect, or betrayal of some sort, stability will feel strange to them. Instead of appreciating a healthy relationship, they start looking for problems that don't exist. They overthink every text message. They start to push their partner away for getting too attached. They start unnecessary arguments, or they convince themselves that relationships won't last so that they end before the other person has a chance to. People often do this because they feel like if they leave first, they're in control. It's painful but predictable, and predictable often feels safer than vulnerable. Sometimes people self-sabotage because they don't believe they're worthy of being loved. Deep down, they think eventually they'll realize that I'm not enough. So they'd rather risk rejection later than create distance now. And it's a form of emotional self-sabotage, but it often creates the very outcome that they were trying to avoid. And that's the tragedy of self-sabotage. The fear creates the identity. This same pattern shows up everywhere. People quit the gym after missing one workout. They stop building the business after one setback. They abandon the new habit because progress isn't immediate. Not because they aren't compatible, but because staying the same feels easier than becoming something different. And the trap that often fuels self-sabotage is hubris. Sometimes pride keeps us from admitting we're the ones standing in our own way. It's easier to blame bad luck or your circumstances or your childhood trauma, the timing or whatever else. But the moment that you become honest with yourself is the moment that you regain control. If you want your life to change, you can't keep outsourcing responsibility. And that doesn't mean that everything that happens to you is your fault. It means that your response is your responsibility. If you're scared to change, that is normal. Every meaningful transformation comes with uncertainty, but if you keep choosing comfort over growth, nothing will change. You can't become something new while protecting every old version of yourself. You have to be willing to leave behind old habits, beliefs, and identities that no longer serve the person that you are trying to become. And failure is a part of success. You're going to fail. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to have days where you fall short, but the goal isn't to avoid failure. The goal is to make sure failure becomes feedback, not your final destination. Every successful person has failed more times than most people realize. The difference is that they don't let failure define them. They learned from it and kept moving. In conclusion, the biggest obstacle in your life might not be failure. It might be the fear of becoming something that you've never been before. When you learn to conquer that fear and accept that failure is always a possibility, but don't let it become a choice. The life that you want will be waiting on the other side of the person that you want to become.